Okay, looks like we are live. Hi, my name's Darren Krakowiak, and typically around this time every week, we broadcast the podcast episode, CRE Success, the podcast. But today I wanted to do a different live stream for you. I want to talk about a session that we've got coming up at the end of next week, which is called the top 5 prospects, the top 5 prospect objections in commercial real estate and how to dismantle them. It's going to be a great live and free session. It's all new content for you. And by the end of the session, you're going to know how to spot objections, even when they're hiding inside seemingly innocuous questions. So when someone asks you a question, rather than just answering it, we've got to really think about, well, why are they asking that question? And is there an objection hidden inside that question? Because often there is. We'll also talk about ways to flush out objections that you haven't yet dealt with, including the ones, or particularly the ones that are really common, that you probably have got an idea that people are thinking, but they haven't asked yet. We want to get those to the surface, deal with them, and then move through the process. And then I want to talk to you about strategies to shift your prospect's perspective on typical objections that prevent deals from happening. Now, it's completely free to attend this session. It's at the end of next week. And to receive the Zoom link, you do need to register though. So you can go to cresuccess.co/objections to register, and you'll be on the list to join us at the end of next week. There's 100 spots available. So do get in quickly so you don't miss out on this free training. I have been running a poll this week on LinkedIn because I want your help to help me prepare the right case studies. So I've been asking people in my network to answer this poll question. And the poll question is, what is the most common objection that you face when speaking to prospects? And we've had a few responses already. The poll's running for another couple of days, so there's still the opportunity to vote on it if you go to my LinkedIn profile. 14% of people said that pricing is the most common objection that they're dealing with, so the fee is too high. 23% said that it's about there being an incumbent provider. So the objection is, I'm already using a competitor, or we're happy with our current service provider. Now, 55% of people, the most common, or the majority of people actually, said that timing is the biggest objection that they face. So the customer or the prospect is not ready, or they don't have any interest. So I want to talk a little bit more about that in this video, given that's the most common objection that people say they're facing. And then 9% of people said it was something else. If you want to share with me what the most common objection is that you deal with, or if it's something really specific that you want to share, you can pop it into the comments and it will pop up here, and I'm happy to sort of have a look at it. If you do manage to do it while we're live, if you don't get a chance to do it during this live broadcast, do leave a comment and I'll be sure to come back to it. Or of course, you can join us next week for the live and free training and the webinar, where I'll be obviously giving you the opportunity to ask questions. So let's talk about this objection of timing. And first thing I want to say about timing is, if you get the objection that, oh, I'm not interested, or I'm not ready, or not right now, that can often be more of a defense mechanism from prospective buyers, just to sort of shoo you away like you're a fly. And that is more of a prospecting tactic to overcome, as opposed to a genuine objection. So this training that we're running is about objections. It's about when you're in a sales conversation and how you can overcome those objections. It's not about prospecting. If someone says to you within the first 10 seconds of you speaking to them, when you call them, I'm not interested, that's not really a full objection, in my opinion, because all they're doing is they haven't heard what you've really got to offer. How can they possibly object yet? They're just trying to get you to go away. So I think there's a difference between those two things. But let's talk about if really the objection is that it's not the right time because they're not interested or they're not ready. Some things that you can think about is, there's this acronym called BANT, B-A-N-T, and it stands for budget, authority, need, and timing. So we want to make sure that is there a need for what it is that you offer? And also, do they have a timeline of when they want to achieve this? And if they don't have all four of those things, you can co-create it. So for example, if they don't have the budget, that's something you can work with them on. And that would be a legitimate objection, which is we don't have the money for it. Okay, well, how do we create the need and how do we create the budget? Who do we need to speak to? If they don't have the authority, you can ask to speak to the right person, right? And if it's not the right time, if it legitimately isn't the right time, I think the opportunity is to get to the bottom of why that is. And if there's no urgency, well, why don't they believe it's urgent? If there is no budget, well, where can that budget come from? If it's not on their agenda, well, perhaps it's just something that they haven't had the opportunity to think about before. Now, if there is no interest, um, I think we need to understand, have they understood the value that we bring? Because if they do understand the value that we bring, if we've had a chance to communicate that, they've heard it, they've understood it, but they're still not interested, well, what we've got there is just a wrong fit. And that means something has gone wrong in the pre-qualification process. So if we can't overcome the objection, if it's a legitimate objection, we just can't get to a point where we can indicate our value, then perhaps they're not the right prospect for us. But let's just say that their lack of interest is about the fact that we haven't adequately communicated our value yet. If you're looking for ways to demonstrate your value, then you could say something like, that's interesting. We're currently working with X, Y, and Z. And that's why I thought you'd be interested, because we've helped them with A, B, and C. And based on my research, I felt that this was something that would be potentially of interest to you. What do you think? And, you can demonstrate a bit of track record and capability, use a case study, use a story, also show that you've done some research about them and see what they've got to say. And, the possibility, hopefully, is that they will say, you know what, actually, yes, there is possibly something there. And if not, well, then again, maybe there's a wrong match. Or maybe the real objection will be, actually, we've actually got a service provider we're working with on that. And then the objection wasn't that it is the right time. The real objection is about their current service provider, them being happy with it. And then you've got the opportunity to work with the real objection, which isn't that they didn't have a need or that they're not interested or it's the wrong time. It's just that they've got an existing service provider that they say they're happy with. And then you can start to deal with that. So the framework I want to take you through next week is all about, and we've got a comment, love this show. Thank you, Luke. Is to understand that objections are hidden inside questions. And we want to deal with the source of the objection. So I'll say that again. Objections are hidden inside questions, and we want to deal with the source of the objection. If you'd like to join this session, now let's see if I can put that back up. I can. You can go to cresuccess.co/objections to join this free training. This free training is just one section within one of the 6 modules contained inside Top Performer, which is our signature program that we offer to commercial real estate professionals to equip them with the abilities, habits, and tools required to be a top performer in their market. If you'd like a little taste of Top Performer, we've actually been running a special series of podcast episodes over the past 5 weeks, and the latest and last episode in that series will be released today. Today's episode is all about how to get more referrals. So I think referrals are the most efficient way to achieve client accumulation. So if we can activate that referral pipeline, we're going to attract more of the clients that we want to work with. So today's episode comes out in maybe 2 hours, is all about how you can find more of those clients and how to ask your best contacts, how to ask and when to ask them to send you referrals. Previous episodes in this series, we started back in episode 75, where we talked about specialization, which is an element of efficiency and effectiveness. In episode 76, we dealt with negative self-talk, and this is a part of personal excellence and allowing yourself to get to where you need to get to and be the best version of yourself through, not having repetitive, negative, untruthful things going through your mind and replacing those with positive things and affirmations and just stopping that negative self-talk when it's there. Episode 77 was all about the only 4 criteria that matter when it comes to who is going to win a competitive process in business to business. So that's part of the Ways to Win module. Episode 78 was called Are You Talking to Me? And it was about how to build an avatar so you can talk directly to your ideal future customer, but do that at scale. That's from the Building Your Brand module. And last week in episode 79, had a bit of feedback on this one from people who maybe didn't totally agree with the premise of the episode, which was that scripts actually make you worse at prospecting. And this is from the Purposeful Prospecting module. And I would say that if you're relying on prospecting as a crutch, and if you're just following other people's prospecting scripts, then you're not going to get better at prospecting. I would recommend, rather than using scripts, having go-to lines that you can recognize are going to help you move the conversation forward. I think rather than having scripts, having an understanding of the value you bring, who it is that you're trying to communicate to, and where you want to take the conversation is a better way to prospect than just relying on scripts. I understand some people like to use scripts, but if you're going to use a script, don't use someone else's, write your own. Yes, get inspiration from other people, but write your own, and then get to a point, rise to a level where you don't need to rely on scripts. The reason why you don't want to rely on scripts is because you don't want it to sound like you're reading from a script. And if you're reading from a script, it might sound like you're reading from a script. It's not a natural sort of conversation. So they're the episodes that we've had for the last 5 weeks in CRE Success, the podcast. We'll go back to the usual weekly live streaming of the episodes actually, I'm going to be in Sydney next week. So maybe the week after we'll do that, because I'm going to pre-record next week's episode as well. But finally, do join us for the free training at cresuccess.co/objections, the top 5 objections from prospects in commercial real estate and how to dismantle them. You're going to know how to dismantle objections with relative ease in a way that isn't argumentative, in a way that helps you communicate your value with your future customer. I hope you can join me for that. Thank you for watching this live stream. If you do have any comments, do put them into the post, and I will come back to them when I see them. Thanks, and hope to see you next week.